Hey there, SartBraveX back again with another video concerning our best girl, Neovision Physalis. Now, it's Terra Week here in Global FFBE, but for those of you that still want to know how to use Physalis as a very effective mage still, even though Terra does a considerable amount more damage, Physalis is still a very good and capable mage. And so we're going to take her into the Tonberry trial here, just again to showcase some of her abilities. And I'm going to do 3 different clear strategies. One using a very overpowered whale friend unit to just 2-turn knock out the Tonberries. Another where I'll use Relm, the new 7-star unit on the Terra banner, to showcase that rod imperil. To get sort of an equivalent amount of damage with a less well-geared Physalis. And then I'll end with a 3-turn strategy if you don't have Relm or an overpowered Physalis. So you really only need 4 units for this trial. You'll need a mag tank that can survive that big non-elemental nuke at the beginning. NVA Charlotte's perfect because she has the demon mitigation, so she survives it really without issue. And you'll want a provoke unit, a separate provoke unit, and preferably you want those 2 units to be able to chain with each other somehow. Otherwise, just slot in 2 chainers that you need for Physalis to cap. You'll see the Physalis unit that I'm using we're really not going to worry about the base form, but in the Brave Shift form, we want to max out our killers and our limit burst damage. And so I have a rod on mine because I used honorable rod arts. Highly recommend this TMR from Croa, who is a 3-star unit. Pick it up, it makes it so much easier to gear Physalis, because otherwise her innate gear selection is pretty poor for mages. My friend unit here is basically a BIS build, best in slot, and so you'll see quite a lot of STMRs, maxed out limited vision card with the Barra's card there, the limited upgrade package from AI Katy Perry. If you have that is huge on Physalis. Really helps open up her gear selection because it gives her both rods and whips. And you'll see he's also maxed out. It's an EX plus 2. Mine's only EX plus 1, sadly. But yeah, this is about as powerful as she's going to get at this level. So let's get to it. So shout out to Sure for that amazing Physalis build. Thank you so much for making that one possible. Couldn't do it otherwise. And for a lot of us, that's not going to be possible, but we got a really cool unit this week on the Terra banner in Relm, who comes with a really neat mechanic that increases your damage if using rods by 35%. So for this clear, we're bringing pretty much the same team, except we've added Relm, and I'm bringing a different friend unit who has a more realistic build that I think most people could probably work out for their Physalis units. And you'll see Charlotte pretty much is nothing's changed. She's doing the same thing she did. Van, same thing. My build is also pretty much exactly the same. And we're using the exact same rotation, the 2-turn rotation, where turn 1 she brave shifts, buffs up all of her abilities and killers and everything, and then turn 2 just unleashes the beast on the Tonberries. And even though the Physalis friend unit that I'm bringing is less powerful than the previous clear, you'll see that the Rod Imperil really makes up for that. Now, even though my friend unit, you'll see in just a second, my friend unit only has 1 rod, and so that means that 35% imperil is only going to be 17.5%, because it does cut that imperil in half if you only have 1 rod. Okay, so if you want to get the full 35% imperil, you do need to be equipped with 2 rods on your build. But you'll see in the clear that it really doesn't make that big of a difference. We're still going to wipe the floor with the Tonberries. So let's get to it. Now, if you're thinking, well, neither mine nor my friend Physalis are as strong as any of those that you've shown so far, plus I have no luck on the Terra banner and haven't pulled a single Relm, don't have any way to get her. So how am I supposed to clear this trial in 2 turns with such ease? And the answer is you don't, but you can still do it in 3 turns. So the first thing I'll note about this team is you're going to need to make sure your mag tank has pretty close to 300% water resist, because they're going to need to be able to survive the water elemental nuke on turn 2, because this is going to end on turn 3. So if turn 1 you get the non-elemental nuke, turn 2 it's a water elemental nuke with a 200% imperil before the nuke, so keep that in mind. The rotation is also going to be exactly the same, except we're going to add 1 more turn. The neat thing about Physalis' Grandest ability in her Brave Shift form is that it fills her LB gauge 2 turns in a row. So we get to use the LB on turn 2, and then on turn 3 she'll automatically revert to her normal form, but she will still get a full limit burst gauge and can use her limit burst in her normal form. Now, it's not as powerful as her Brave Shift form, but it's still enough to finish off the Tonberries. Now, my friend unit here, again, another reasonable build. This one actually doesn't use rods at all. So for those of you that don't have access to any kind of equipped rod materia or gear, this is a nice build for you to maybe look at and maybe try and replicate. What I really like about this one is that it uses CG Ace's TMR, the wild card, which is a throwing weapon, which she can innately equip. It's really great on this trial because it also comes with 25% Demon Killer, which can be very nice. That makes up for the fact that it maybe has a lower mag stat than another weapon you might want to slot in there. That extra 25% killer really comes in handy. Alright, let's see how it goes. Alright, well, I think I've slaughtered enough Tonberries for one day. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually go over some different builds. One of the cool things about doing this was that my friend units had all these different builds, and it was really neat to see how people built their Physalis with some of the restrictions just based on some of the gear they have. So let's take a look at some of these different builds. Alright, so I'm going to start right off the bat with her weapon selection. It's pretty horrid for a mage. She can equip throwing weapons, knives, spears, and guns innately. So the first thing you really want to do if you want to open up that weapon selection for better mage gear is to find a source of equip rod. And there are three sources that I know of in the game. One is the equip rod materia that you get from the Fat Chocobo in Old Darien for Star Quartz. Two is Croa TMR, Honorable Rod Arts, which I use. And three is AI Katy Perry's STMR, which is probably the best option because it's an accessory with flat mag. It gives you 50% mag if you have a rod equipped, and it also allows you to equip whips, which are pretty nice for mages as well if you have some of the Dark Phena's STMRs. Second is going to be her vision card. I really prefer Starlight Elena's vision card if you have it, because it comes with some unconditional mag, but it also, when it's maxed out, it comes with that boost of LB damage to 50% if the unit is a female. And so this is really important for Physalis. She comes with 200% innate limit burst and her passives, and so it's pretty easy to get her to cap her limit burst damage, and this vision card goes a long way to doing that. Ideally, you want to keep some slots open for killers, especially if it's not a demon or a fairy monster, because she has those innately in her kit. And so for other bosses, other boss types, you want to open up those slots. And so having Starlight Elena's card in there gets you a little bit more LB boost, and you don't have to worry about that so much in your materia slots. Now, even though her gear selection isn't the best, she makes up for it in her true dual wield passives. In her normal form, she comes innately with 150% true dual wield, and so you only need an extra 50% to get her there, to the cap. In her Brave Shift form, however, she is innately at 200% true dual wield, so you don't need to use any true dual wield gear on her in her Brave Shift form, which is fantastic, because you can open that up to slotting killers, LB damage boost, and you don't have to worry about trying to hit the TDW cap. Very, very nice. And so that kind of makes up for the fact that she can't innately equip rods, and also the fact that she can't equip robes either. So you have, you're stuck with clothes or light armor. Not a lot of great mage selection in there either. Now, if you're a whale or you're just lucky and you have a lot of really great gear specifically for Physalis, then this is the type of build you can accomplish with her. This is, of course, at the EX +2 level, and here we see the upgrade package being used, and this is why it's so good, is the CPU version upgrade with that. Allowing her to equip both rods and whips, plus giving 50% mag passives with either one of those equipped. So if you had a rod and a whip, you'd get 100% passive mag right there if you had upgrade. And I know I keep sort of coming back to the, it's important to equip rods on her, not just for higher mag stats, but also magic killers are not easy to come by, and a lot of the trial rods come with magic killers, and so it's a great source of magic killers for Physalis. Now you see, with the upgrade package used, this build has the freedom to actually include GF extension, which is just basically a stat stick materia to increase the stats from the espers. Same goes for Ibarra's vision card. It's great on Physalis for the fact that it adds 110 flat mag to the base stats of Physalis, which increases all of her passive boosts and active boosts, which is really great. But other than that, the card doesn't add anything but extra stats. But if you have the ability to build everything and cap everything else, you might as well use Ibarra's vision card to help increase that base mag. That's how you're going to get your Physalis to have over 5k mag in the EX +2 build. Now in this build we also see Delta Star Sakura's STMR being used, Black Roselia, which is a rod that comes with 50% passive mag and 30% limit burst damage boost. There aren't really a lot of great options for mages to get limit burst damage. Black Roselia is one. You've got Trance Power, which is Kuja's TMR, and then you also have CP Noctis's TMR, the Astral's Protection, which gives you 40% mag and 30% limit burst damage. Now, if you don't want to deal with rods at all, you don't want to have to worry about getting any of these equipped rod materias, or you just don't feel like you can spare the space for one of those materia slots, then you can still make it work with this unit. But before I go any further, I do want to touch on Neovision Soul's vision card, because it's great if you are using rods on Physalis, because she doesn't have mag passives for wielding rods, but this gives you 100% passive mag boost, and it adds 100 flat mag to your base stats. So it's a really good choice if you're having trouble capping mag with rods. As for non-rod options for Physalis, your best options are going to be Fourwind Physalis' STMR, the Blue Storm, which is 180 mag gun. You can use the story event gun, which is also really good. It's got 172 mag plus 25% magic dual wield once it's fully upgraded. Any version of Aces has either a TMR or STMR that's a throwing card, which is a throwing weapon. And then you've got BB Rem's STMR, which is a dagger with 171 mag. And then lastly, you've got the Wind Sprite's Spear from the 4-Wind Physalis event that has, I think, 160 something mag on it, which is a good choice as a spear. Alright, I had a friend build this one for me, and in the normal form you're going to notice that it's a TDH build, which you really don't want to do with Physalis, because if you build her true dual hand, or true double hand, you lose the 6 times multiplier on the chain cap. She has to be dual wielding in order to get that 6x chain cap, otherwise it's going to go down to 4x and you're going to lose a lot of power. Mages do not get boosts from weapon variants, so she will not get the 50% boost like a physical damage unit would get. So make sure you're building both forms in true dual wield with 2 weapons. Okay, now here in the Brave Shift form, we're back to a true dual wield, and you see probably one of the best throwing weapons would be Ibarra's STMR. Of course, if you have Ibarra, you're probably more likely to use her, but if you're up against an enemy that's weak to ice, or it's a fairy, which you know, are elements and killers that Ibarra doesn't have, you can throw Ibarra's STMR on Physalis. If you don't want to bother with rods to free up some space elsewhere. That's a really good choice for her. Now, if you're really strapped for gear, I highly recommend you get the story event gun, because it is really impressive when it's fully upgraded. You have to upgrade it twice. But once it's fully upgraded, you get 172 flat mag and 25% magic dual wield, which is pretty incredible for an event weapon. It's really only good for her, but then you couple that with her vision card, and you're really easily hitting the mag. And not to mention, if you couple that with her own TMR, that adds another 60% passive mag when wielding a gun. So yeah, really, those two together, you should have really little trouble hitting the 400% mag cap, and that saves a lot of room for killers. So thank you so much for sticking with me on this one. I realize this was a longer video, but I do hope that it helps you maximize the potential of Physalis. If you enjoy using her, she is a really fun unit once you can sort of open up her weapon selection. But even without that, you know, she still has the potential to be a really cool and fun unit to play with. And I intend to take her into some future trials. I also have another video planned coming up probably next week, where I'll look at some of her rotations, some of her longer rotations, especially for upcoming trials like Chimera. We're going to need to understand a rotation that's longer than just 2 or 3 turns. And so I'm going to look at that in future episodes. So thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you on the other side.